All right, so where are we at in the meeting?
We're just starting because we haven't, everybody had trouble some of us had trouble getting on.
All right, I know Rick is traveling home today, so he won't be on.
Okay. Well, I think we're good. I think we have 7 people here, so I think that's more than enough for a quorum.
Great.
All right, so I'm going to do a quick roll call vote. Steve,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
John, Nash, Mike Walsh,
Here.
Billy,
Yeah.
and Greg.
I'm here.
All right, cool. We're good. Second up on the agenda, we want to approve the any questions on the November 18th minutes.
Oh, Greg did an excellent job.
Greg did do an excellent job. I second that. Can I have a second as to approving the minutes from the November 18th meeting, please?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All right, all in favor?
All right.
All right. Number 2 is done. We've approved the minutes of the November meeting. Number 3, we're going to go on to commercial pier project improvements to include relocating the boat ramp.
Okay, so I guess this is where
Mike, I think this is where you chime in.
So we're still in the preliminary. The boat ramp move was one of those things that has come up. Nothing. There are no permits. We haven't filed any permits. We're still in the preliminary stage of working with the fishermen, the President Mike Walsh, to figure out what the fleet's needs are. That's where we're at. We're hoping to have a public meeting in February, probably at the DPW barn. Hopefully COVID's not too rampant by then, but if we can have like a town meeting setting where by 6 start, if that's feasible, we're going to try to have that happen. No this, but we definitely get some public comments, go through now phase 4 where we're at with the plans since we first started. And that's kind of part of the process. Some of the things that were discussed originally are coming back around, which is kind of good for the dialect. And you go through the plans to figure out what we actually need. So I'm confident with the MICRA board of directors and hopefully the MICRA members have looked at these and we can figure out what exactly makes the most sense for any pier improvements. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Easy so far.
That was quick. That was easy.
Well, like I said, there's nothing formal yet. We're still going through some preliminaries, some concepts, some designs to see what makes sense. You know, make sure it's cost prohibitive, things like that. Garner support from the state. So I know the boat ramp was a big part of it before, but that seems to maybe not be so feasible with the last meeting that MICFA had. So the town needs to look at it as well for it to make sense. I mean, the whole thing with the parking lot is it is congested. We are looking to free up some parking and move things around to make it easy for everybody. I think the fleet should have priority. Their office, they're there the most. I know the recreational boaters will run the place in the summertime, but if we can help ease the burden and the comings and going of everybody, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Where are they think of moving it to?
Well, one concept have it going to the right adjacent to the North Pier, but that would include the offloading wall that was built in 2014.
Yeah.
Infrastructure when that the state public access board was in favor of it. However, we would still need to go to the Seaport Economic Council to get their blessing, since they paid $500,000 to make that happen back then. So, I mean, I think it does make sense. There are some issues doing that, but with sea level rise and coastal resiliency, Flow of parking, it does make sense, but those are things we have to work out with the public comment period and the rest of the fleet for public comment with their. But like I said, that was just one piece of it. As well as sheet piling around the harbor, that's a building sheet piling down towards the current boat ramp because that revetment wall is falling into the harbor. That's been discussed as well. So it's a little bit of everything. Maybe relocating the south pier, bigger aprons. Definitely talked about adding the drive out to the north pier. That's been discussed for almost 10 years now. Everybody seems to be in favor of that, and that makes a lot of sense. That's not really a big money cost, I don't believe. So little things like that. So like I said, we have 3 or 4 different plans, but we need to hone it to come to a senses of what actually makes sense. What alternative analysis would make most sense. So that's kind of where we're at. But I'm hoping to have a February meeting with the consultants to get some public comments. The public comment will not be another time to change the plans yet again. I think we've hashed out every idea that we could possibly do. Now we just got to put the pen to the paper, if you will, and say, this is what we want. Let's have it built if it makes the most sense. So, if I can lean on Mike Walsh now, Mike's been doing a lot of the legwork with the fishermen, getting the word out to him. So he's actually had a harder job than I've had with this. He's kind of the springboard.
Yeah, and speaking to that, Mike, yeah, it's just a matter of, getting guys together, getting some opinions put together. I had another thought tonight would be maybe to take and maybe get a few different designs, maybe 2 designs or 3 designs based on some of the conversations we've had, and put that out to the members, a vote out to members of MICFA and say, here's your choices, A, B, C, fine tune that, and then see where we can go from there. Because right now there's just a lot of different input. Not a lot of different input. There's different input coming from different places, and some things work, some things don't, some are better than others. And so it's just one of the thoughts I was having at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we have the 3. We have 3 choices now. You have 3 alternative analyses with 3 different price figures, but I think the choices A, B, and C, they don't meet all of our needs. It's going to be a mosh podge of taking some pieces from each and making it a, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, boys.
All right. Any other questions about?
Any other questions on that? Concerns? All right, let's move on to number 4, dredging in Green Harbor in 2022.
Yep. So we're dredging with the Army Corps 2022. Our consultants and myself, we have reached out to Green Harbor Marina as well. As you know, 10 years ago, we kind of that portion down by the dike that's down there, looking to get that cleared out of there and around. And then we're just trying to find their property lines, the town's property lines, to make sure the setbacks meet each other, so there's no humps and no shoals left behind. So that should be done probably this week, and then the town will have the paperwork for the filings and things like that. So we got plenty of time to get those permits done, and hopefully align with the Army Corps. I know the Green Harbor Yacht Club already has permits, and they are looking to dredge probably same time we are, maybe October 2021. I don't really know when they're dredging, but they do have permits, and I think they're going to go to the DSA site across the street from Harbor Park, which they probably have about, I'd say, 6,000 cubic yards, which is not a ton of material. The whole harbor is probably 80,000 cubic yards, and we're hoping to get a little more depth out of this dredge project versus the last. I've explained that to the Army Corps in first emails that the fishing restrictions are getting more more rules and regulations on the fishing fleet, and guys want bigger boats, deeper draft boats, which I can't blame them to go out further offshore. So with that, you need a properly dredged harbor. Boats can come in a proper draft. So we're hoping to at least get down to 8 feet mean low water. I'm hoping. So that would be a big plus for us.
Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mike, are you thinking maybe early 2022 or late 2022?
I'm thinking it'll probably be October 20. Like I said, it's an Army Corps project.
Yeah.
I'm keeping, and I kind of know where you're going, but I'll just lay it out. But I mean, in 2022, if you don't dredge the harbor, the Narrows again this year, they're definitely going to dredge the Narrows in 2022. So they're going to take their way in. So that may give us a little bit of time of moving moorings and things like that, because basically everything coming out of the harbor as we did. Now, that probably won't be good for the guys that are bringing gear by January 1st, but let's get the thing permitted and funded first before we figure out those logistics, which I'm sure we'll be able to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Boat ramp fee increase.
Yep. So the Selectmen and State Public Access Board came to an agreement on a dollar amount to raise the boat ramp fees. Raised, I think since 2009. So the in-state daily fee now is a whopping $10 versus $7, and the annual fees went from 75 to 125 per year. The state was not in favor of raising the state fee, which I was pushing for. I thought that it could be a little bit more than $10 for in-state, but they wanted to keep it where it was, and I didn't want to push back too far because we're probably going to be asking the state public board to rebuild a new boat ramp, or at least repair what's currently existing, or remodel it potentially with a pier project. So if they can fix that for $500,000, $1 million, or whatever that costs, that's a cost savings to the town. So I think I'll keep fighting for nickels.
Very good. Any other questions? Comments? All right, let's move on to the next one. Commercial booms.
All right. So the commercial boom. So, the fishermen kind of have a quasi boom committee. I know a few guys can look at the booms in Plymouth and other surrounding communities. So as we start the phased approach to the upcoming pier project in the next 2-3 years, however long it takes to get the permits and funding, we're looking to have at least, I would say, probably at least 3 town booms. I think MICFA has agreed to have the town take over boom, which is kind of in disrepair now. So we're looking to get a short-term fix for that, so they can maintain their boom and keep fishing. At some point, we'll roll in a fee for the commercial booms. I was suggesting about what it was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, $100 per boat. That's just going to be a flattest to all the fishermen in the harbor. Then we're going to work out a key system so only the users, or the ones that are paying for the boom, can actually use the boom. Those details have not been worked out yet. We're not quite there yet. And that'll be going to a specific account where if the boom needs a new line, that's where that money comes out of. If the boom motors need hydraulic oil, that's where it comes out of. General maintenance plan, that's where that money comes out of. So it's not going to be going to general fund or where else. So it'll be like a revolving fund for the booms. That would be my suggestion to the town treasurer, selectman, and town administrator. But I think it's the only fair way. It has another idea, but I think the town has the insurance, the town has the liability. It's removes it from the fishermen, which I think is probably a good thing. So that's why I kind of want to start a boom committee of what the fisherman actually wants. I know one boom's faster than the other one more than the other one, but I don't use the boom that much. I don't fish, so that's what the commercial fishermen committee, member with the boom committee, and say, Mike, this is what we suggest that we build.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and if I could just speak for a second on that, Mike is right. We had discussed all that. That sounds good. And the idea of maybe proceeding with a boom sooner than later to replace the mixer boom was to make sure that whatever we do get and whatever we do design works well now, and we know that it'll work when we put it into the new pier design. So it's sort of just, get a good design, put it out there, use it, work with it, and make sure it's what we want so that when we build the pier out, we put the right thing in.
Yep. Makes sense.
excellent. Thank you, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mike.
No, and I will say Mike's been a great steward of Mick. Mike's been very responsive. I probably call him text once a week, and he's always responsive. I know he's busy bringing in his gear, but he's really stepped up and been a voice for the fleet and a value leader for those guys. And the communication can't be much better than what it is now. So it's working really well. And I think it's the testament to both of us working together. There's not a lot of scuttlebutt of what's being said behind the scenes, and everybody. I mean, we're pretty much an open book of what's going on. There's no hidden secrets, no hidden agendas. The preliminary plans in my office. I can just schedule a time. I'll gladly show them to you. Mike Walsh has the same cuts of sheets that I have, so everything's above board of what's going on, what's being designed, and what's being thought about and considered. So I mean, it's a good partnership.
I second that.
Thank you, Steve.
All in favor?
Thank you.
There's a love fest going on here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Coordination.
It's the new normal.
That's what it takes.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the next one, boys. Real-time shark buoys.
So I've been in touch with the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. We're going to schedule a meeting at some point with the Minister of Selectmen. I'll be proposing probably next month. I want to get at least 3 real-time shark buoys. They're about $14,000 each. Seems kind of pricey, but we can prevent one shark bite. I think it's worth it. And those buoys would go to our busiest beaches, Green Harbor, Fieldston, and Wrexham. We got one shark buoy in the river. Had any detections in that for years. And the other one is off of Brent Rock, which is about 35, 40 feet of water. Our no beach goers out there. So I think the beaches are a priority. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and hopefully find the funding to make that happen. And all the software would be run through the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy.
Cool. Very cool.
There was some angst with it, I guess, but it would be the first ones in the South Shore to have them, which is, we're kind of always the front runners in Marshfield, so it's kind of a good thing. But lost my train of thought here a second, but hang on, it'll come back to me. But so the buoys will run through the White Shark Conservancy. Then the lifeguards will have access to it. Things like out-of-town officials, the alert system. I'm not an expert in that just yet, so that'll be discussed if and when we do get them. But I did have some concerns of like people kind of buoys during key times, hoping that a detection would pop, and then all of a sudden you have a 22-foot Boston whaler facing down fins. But I've been assured that the Chatham, the sharks are under the surface and they're kind of hard to see, so it kind of removes the fact that people kind of bird dogging the buoys waiting for the thing to go off and go chase sharks. So I felt pretty good about that.
I got a quick question. Did we get the account on how many are picking this year?
He picked them up last week. I'll have it probably this week.
All right.
Yeah, I think give me some preliminary, but I think it was like 9 different sharks. So I think the year before it was 12. I'll have to double check. But I'm not sure. I don't have the data of how long they were here. That's kind of the main thing. I mean, for you can have one great white cover 8 miles in a day back and forth along the beach, but if you have 9 different sharks, but I really need to see how many times they were here and how long. That's really the driven factor of that's going to drive the buoys, you know.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's just curious.
But I mean, so up to date, the marine fisheries has tagged over 200. I think they tagged 35 or 36 2020, and they tagged 50 in 2019. So they were down a little bit, but don't forget it was COVID in the summertime, so they weren't really going out a lot. So they tagged quite a bit of them. So you figure we have 9 out of 200 or 12 out of 200 that are coming here. It's still a sizable number.
Yeah.
And they had a shark attack in Maine, so we're a long way from Maine. So if it's happening there, it can damn sure happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Time to get a pool.
Yep. Or a lake house.
That too. All right, moving on to the next one. Is there any update on the closure of the lobster fishing grounds?
Status quo.
Steve, go ahead, Steve.
I believe it's status quo. All the traps have to be out of the water as of January 31st. And the restart date is tentative, basically May 1st, with the state having the ability to extend the closure within state waters until they deem it fit to start, which means a 0 whale count is what they're looking for.
Right.
Aside from that, I believe the state Division of Marine Fisheries is in the process of closing down all of state waters for the entire duration of that time period, not just the South Shore and Cape.
Yeah.
Mike Walsh, you might have more information on that.
That is correct. They're waiting on a hearing. The north of Scituate is not going to be closed as of February 1st yet. They'll be getting a closure at some point, but because there was so many comments coming in, their closure was held off until after the comments are processed. Then they'll get their closure till May 1st again. That doesn't affect us too much.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, they're basically looking to get it all the way up and down the New England coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether it's later on in the season, maybe for the guys further north as the whales travel further north, it can put a big hurt to their income, and a lot of grounds could be closed later on in the season.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Steve.
Yep.
All right. Next up is Harbor Master's report.
I think we kind of covered it. I think we're running out of things to talk about.
I think you covered it pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, I think
It's just one of those topics.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has any other questions for me or what's going on, but I think we pretty much covered it. The big thing is the jet. I mean, the jetties too. We're still working on the Section 107. We are in queue with the Army Corps. I mean, there are projects ahead of us. It is a new election year, so we'll see what happens with funding with the Army Corps and this year coming in next. And obviously, the big one is the dredging. To get the dredging, we need that. So, I know there's been a lot of new guys asking about new moorings and things like that, and they were told to be patient that the moorings will be issued and the moorings come available. Some guys want to see if the harbor can be regridded a little bit, the mooring fields. I don't really want to have saturation, and I think saturation leads to a lot of problems with navigability, parking, congestion, and also many guys competing for the small amount of area of lobster fishing off Green Harbor. So I think the fishermen probably be more concerned about that than I would. But the harbor is only so big and it can only support so much. I don't think it can sustain 20 more fishermen in the harbor lobster.
Right.
So that's just my opinion.
Right. All right, thank you, Mike. Any other business? I don't think we have any other business to conduct. I do actually have one question, one favor of Greg to. I got to ask Greg. Greg, I got this letter. Actually, Dave emailed it to me. It has something to do with the town attendance policy. Is there any chance, any way you can maybe tally up the attendance of the meetings we've had throughout the last 12 months and send me an email?
I'll definitely do that.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I've never seen, I never knew about this. You gotta take attendance, and they want to know how many people are coming. It's not just us, it's everybody. I appreciate that, Mike. I mean, Greg. All right, I think we could probably end this meeting right now. Could I have a second to adjourn the meeting?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Billy. Any more? All right. Any more discussion? All right. Good. All right. Good night, everybody. And meeting's closed.
Thank you, John.
Take
All
care.
right.
Thank you.
boys.